Hi guys, welcome to my channel. How are you guys doing? Hope everyone is doing great. If you're new here, you're welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, you are also welcome. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to cut and sew this beautiful dress you're seeing on the thumbnail. So let's get started. So I'll be cutting the upper part of this dress first. So I'm going ahead to mark the starting line. As you can see here, I'm going to mark the shoulder I'm working with, which is 16 inches. Divide by 2 give me 8 inches. So this is 8 inches here. So I'm going to place my tape at that point and take the length of the sleeve. So for the length of the sleeve, I'll also be working with 8 inches. Okay, so I'm going to be adding half of an inch to that. You know that the sleeve is a turn up sleeve, so that will enable me turn the sleeve up. Okay, so next at that point I'm going to go down by 1.5 and I'll mark. So I'm going to come back to this point and I'll mark the neckline. So the dress is going to have a collar, so the neckline I'm working with, that is the width, is 2.5. so for the depth I'm going to be working with half of an inch. Okay, I'm cutting the back, so when I'm done cutting the back I will use it to cut the front. So I'm going to connect the point here to form the neck curve. So the next thing we're going to do here, where we have our 1.5 inch shoulder drop, I'm going to connect it straight to the neckline this way. So next I'm going to come back to this point and I will take the sleeve opening. So for the sleeve opening I'm working with 9 inches. So because I need half of an inch to join the side and half of an inch to I need half of an inch to join the side. Okay, so I'm going to be marking 9.5. Okay, so I'm going to measure what I have here. I have 16.5. I'm going to mark the 16.5 here because I want a perfect straight line for the sleeve opening. So I'm going to connect the points straight to the shoulder this way. Can you see? So at that point I'm going to mark the bust measurement. So for the bust I'm working with is 40 inches divided by 4 will give me 10 inches. I need 1 inch for ease and half of an inch for seam allowance. So this is here, this is it here. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to connect this way. Can you see? So for the length of this upper part is going to be 16 inches. So I'm going to be adding half of an inch to that. That will give me 16.5. So this is it here. So the waistline, for the waistline I'll be working with 36. Divide by 4 will give me 9 inches, and I'm going to be adding 1 inch for ease and half of an inch for seam allowance. So I'm going to connect the bust to the waist this way, and I'm going to make a curve here because I don't want this angle to be sharp. So the next thing I'm going to do is to add half of an inch here and here at the shoulder. To enable me join to the back, to the other side. Okay, to the shoulder, the both shoulder. So the next thing we're going to do now is to cut this out. So after cutting the back, I place it on the piece I'm using for the front, as you can see. So I've gone ahead to mark 1 inch down to the waistline. Okay, that 1 inch is to fix the placket, the button placket, and also for the ease for the button, so that the front of this blouse will not be gaping. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is to trace the neckline and the whole body and the whole sides of this top. Okay, so when I'm done doing that, I'm going to reshape the neckline for the front. So this is the front. So remember that the depth of the neckline depth for the back is 1/2 inch. So we are going to make the front 2.5. Okay, so this is our 2.5 here. So I'm going to connect it back to the width by the shoulder this way. So we're done with the front. So the next thing we're going to do now is to cut the lower part of this dress. So for a better understanding of this lower part, I've gone ahead to draw out the dress on a piece of paper. So you can see that the lower part has 1, 2, 3, 4 layers. Okay, so now you're going to determine how long you want the your lower part to be. That is from your waistline down to the hemline. Okay, I'm working with 30 inches. Please work with your measurements. Okay, so for the 30 inches, now you're going to determine how long the lower part of this layer how long you want it to be. You can see the lower part is longer than the rest of the 3 other layers. Okay, so for me, I am working with 10.5. That is how long the height of this last layer. I'm working with 10.5. Okay, so whatever is going to remain, that is when I minus 10.5 from 30, whatever is going to remain, I'm going to divide it among these 3 other layers. So if I minus 10.5 from 30, I should have 19.5. So when you divide 19.5 for among these 3 remaining layers, we'll have 6.5, 6.5, and 6.5. Now remember that you need 1/2 inch to join to the upper part, and you need 1/2 inch to join to the second layer. So we are going to be adding extra 1 inch to that 6.5, and that will give us 7.5. So for this first, second, third layer, you're going to be your height is going to be, my height is going to be 7.5. Please work with your measurements. The person I'm making this dress for is not a tall person. Okay, so please work with your own measurement. Measure your client or yourself before cutting. Okay, so for the lower part of this layer, we are going to be adding 1/2 inch and 1 inch for seam allowance to that 10.5. 1/2 inch, sorry, and 1 inch for hemming allowance to your 10.5. You need 1/2 inch to join to this third layer, and you need 1 inch to hem the lower part of this dress. So for the lower part of the layer, we are going to be adding 1.5 to your 10.5, and that will give us 12 inches. Okay, so that is sorted out. So the next thing we're going to do is to know how to measure out our gathers. Remember that the dress has gathers. So for the first layer, what you're going to do, you're going to measure the round waistline of the upper part of the upper part of this dress. Okay, we have already done that. So you measure round it, and whatever you have, you're going to be multiplying by 1.5. No, so for mine, I have 44. After measuring it round, I have 44. So I'm going to be multiplying 44 by 1.5. And when you multiply 44 by 1.5, you have 66.
that means the length, the how wide this first layer for me will be 66. Then for my second layer, how wide I want it to be, I'm going to be dividing 66. That is 66 you got for the first layer. I'm going to divide it by, sorry, you're going to be multiplying by 1.5. Please, it's multiplication, not dividing. Please, the first layer, you remember, you are going to multiply whatever you have for the for the upper part of this dress by 1.5. Mine is 44. I multiply by 1.5 to get my first, how wide my first layer is going to be, and that gave me 66 inches. So for the second layer, I'm going to multiply that 66 inches again by 1.5, and when I multiply, I will have 99. Then for the third layer, I'm going to multiply 99 times 1.5 again, and that will give me 148.5. So 148.5, I'm going to multiply by 1.5 again to get how wide I want the last layer to be. So you're going to be multiplying whatever you get here, you multiply by 1.5 to get this for the second layer, and whatever you get for the second layer, you multiply by 1.5 to get the third layer, and whatever you get for the third layer, you're going to multiply by 1.5 to get last layer. So that is how you're going to be doing it. So please use 1.5 you want to get a fine perfect pleats, okay? But if you want it that much, you can do 2 inches, but 1.5 is perfect, okay? So that is it for this lower part of this dress. So I've gone ahead to cut out my, okay, and also cut out the bottom placket. Okay, the bottom placket. For the bottom placket, you're going to measure, when you must have finished joining, you measure what from the length of the neckline down to the hemline. Okay, you're going to measure that. Whatever you get, you use it to cut out your placket. And for the width of the placket, it's going to be 3 inches. Okay, 3 inches. Okay, so that is it. So I'll go and couple my dress, then I'll come back and show you how to fix your placket and how to do your maybe your collar. If you don't know how to do, I will also show you how to cut it out. So this is how far I've gone with the dress. You can see I've fixed all the layers and joined to the upper part of this dress. Can you see? You can see 1, 2, 3, 4. So for the upper part of this dress, I've also turned the sleeve. Okay, so what I did is just to cut out 2.5 inches of a fabric on fold, and I use it to turn the sleeve. I also fixed this button strap and the fixed button on it. So for the bottom placket, this is what I've done. I folded my bottom placket into 2 iron, then on one side I fold in 1/2 inch. Can you see? Then I stitch the other one on the dress. Can you see? So the next thing I'm going to do here is to push this seam allowance inside, and I will use this one to cover it up this way. Can you see? So I'm going to cover it up this way. So the next thing I'm going to do here is to get my hemming gum. I'm going to put my hemming gum in between it, then iron it down. So when I'm done doing that, I will now stop stitch on it. Okay, so I've done one side, so I want to show you how it looks like. So this is the side. Can you see? You can see how neat it is. See the inside. Can you see? So the next thing I'm going to do now is to cut the collar and the collar stand. So for the collar, we're going to measure the round neckline. So I'm going to fold my fabric into 2 this way. Can you see? And I'm going to measure the front neckline. So for the front neckline, I have 6 inches. Can you see? And for the unfold, and for the back neckline, I have 3 inches on fold. Can you see? 6 inches and 3 inches. So we're going to be cutting the collar stand first. So I have this fabric I'll be using. Can you see? I folded into 2, and before that I iron hasty on it. Okay, so I'm going to fold again this way. Now we're going to take our measurement for the back neckline. We measure 3 inches on fold, and this is it here. So for the front neckline we measure 6 inches, and this is it. So we're going to add 1/4 of an inch to that for seam allowance. So at that point we're going to go up by 1/2 of an inch and we'll mark. So the next thing we are going to do now is to I'm going to connect to the midpoint where I have my back marked out this way. Can you see? So the next thing I'm going to do now is to mark the height of the stand, the collar stand. So I want to use 2 inches, and that 2 inches include 1/2 of an inch to fold in the down part and 1/4 of an inch to join the collar to the collar stand. Then the what remaining will be now, it will now be 1/4. Okay, so altogether is 2 inches that I'm using. So I'm going to place my tape and I will mark to 2 inches following this line that we marked earlier. Okay, not difficult. So we're going to connect these points together. So the next thing we are going to do now is to measure the top part 3 inches, and 6 1/4 will give us 9 1/4. So we're going to measure the down part as well. So the next thing we're going to do now is to connect these 2 points. So at this top part we are going to curve it a little this way, give it that collar stand shape. Can you see? So I'll go ahead and cut this out now. I see. So when you open it up, we have 2. So this part that is still folded, we're going to slash it open. So this is our collar stand. So we're going to go over to the collar. So for the collar stand, for the collar itself, we are going to be using this fabric. You can see it's folded into 2, and I've also ironed hairstay on it. So this side is on fold. So the collar stand, for the collar stand, is the height is 3 inches. You can see I've already marked that out. So at this top part, at this down part where the fabric is on fold, I'm going to measure the length of the collar stand, which is 9 1/4. That is what we'll have here, from here to here, 9 1/4. Remember, this is on fold. So I've marked that already. Coming to this top part, I'll also mark the measurement minus 1 inch. Here we have 9 1/4. At this top part, I'm going to minus 1 inch from this 9 1/4, and whatever you get, you use it to, you will mark it at this top part. Okay, So I'm going to connect this way. Can you see? This is the measurement for the collar stand, and here you minus 1 inch from that. So that is it. The height of the collar is 3 inches. So we're going to open up our collar so that I will show you how to fix it. So this is how your collar is going to look like. Okay, can you see? So I'll go and fix it. Okay, so this is the finished look. You can see I fixed the false pockets, just the pocket cover, and hold it down with the button. And also the dress looking so pretty. For the back, you see, looking so pretty. Sleeve. So that's it for this dress. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in my next one.